Hey there guys, welcome to the video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, as you can see in the background, we're using the Lucent Hive generating grenade launcher Ex Diris. Now, we've used Ex Diris not too long ago, and that was with the Blast Wave Striders. Had a surprising amount of synergy there, but today we're going for a more damage-orientated build. Now, you can see in the bottom left there, we're running triple grenade launchers, and this thing absolutely decimates with damage. Got lots of crowd control, a lot of area denial, and all-round big damage. So if you want to see a little bit more about how this one works and how we can get it to work across multiple different activities, make sure you stick around. We've got a lot to cover. Let's take a look. Well, what better way to start the video than going over our exotics? So we've got Ex Diris, our grenade launcher that we'll be using today, and then our armor is going to be the Cuirass of the Falling Star. So we're using the Arc Titan, we want damage, and what better way to get damage out than using Cuirass? Cuirass, I believe, will give you a 55% increased damage to your Thunder Crash. Now, Thunder Crash is already a huge damage output. 55% on top is a bit of a no-brainer. So we'll be working with that alongside the build generating lots of orbs. That'll get our super back as well. So working all together very nicely, these two items. But we're going to Ex Diris now. So Ex Diris, as a weapon, you can see there in the intrinsic trait, Corrupted Nucleosynthesis. This weapon enrages when dealing or taking sustained damage. And what that pretty well means is, whilst we're in critical health or we take damage from enemies over time, we're going to be able to increase our rate of fire. Now, we won't see a buff on the left-hand side as usual. You'll just notice that the weapon is actually doing, sending out more rounds. So the rounds per minute goes from 90 up to about 126, and that'll give us the ability to generate more Loyal Moths. So the exotic perk, Loyal Moths, is when we directly hit multiple opponents and commit final blows to them, you have the ability to generate Loyal Moths. So it's just a little arc moths from, Sabathun's throne world. They'll fly around, they'll seek out enemies. They're very, very smart at taking out enemies. They'll work around cover, and they actually do quite a bit of damage. And because you'll be able to take out so many enemies at a time, you'll be generating a ton of these moths all over the battlefield, taking out tons of enemies. They've got nowhere to hide. All right, so we know the exotic weapon, we know the exotic armor. Let's have a look at some of the other weapons we've got on display for today. Now, I did mention we're running triple grenade launcher. This was what I was using for our ultimate, our Grandmaster, not the seasonal Grandmaster, so the minus 50 stuff, or the ultimate conquest activities. Now, those activities, especially the high tier ones, you do not get special or heavy ammo at the very start of activities. I believe it's the famine debuff. You start with no ammo on your special or your heavy. So going into these activities with absolutely nothing does not help. We'll go through the grenade launchers first, and then I'll show you some alternatives for the higher level difficulties. Just get you started and get this ammo generation happening. First one I'm going to look at is Festival Flight. Now, Festival Flight is a very, very potent weapon. It's a strand grenade launcher. It is an area denial frame. You've probably seen in some of the background footage of how it works, but it sends out just a stream of strand projectiles, damages over time. But this one we're using is Envious Arsenal and Vorpal Weapon. So I've tried to incorporate Envious Arsenal on both of our weapons either side of Ex Diris because we can switch between these weapons, automatically reload them when they're stowed, and have big damage output. Vorpal Weapon, just because we'll be facing some quite difficult opponents in a lot of our activities, so that's going to give us a little bit of extra damage. And alongside that, you can see that we've gone for velocity just to get the generation of our rounds going out just a little bit quicker. Now, the heavy weapon that we're using, now this is a gambit weapon. You can actually get this from Drifter. If you want to focus it, you'll need to do some gambit activities. You can attune to this, so go to your inventory screen in your menu section. There should be an attunement selection you can make there. Go to Gambit, choose Doomsday, and you'll be able to, generally, you'll get a lot of these from the activity. I did one Gambit activity. I got 4 of these to drop. So this was the best one that I wanted. And again, it's running Envious Arsenal with Bait and Switch. Now, Bait and Switch will give us a 30% damage increase on this weapon if we use our other 2 weapons before using this one. So that's where the Envious Arsenal comes in on both weapons. Because we can keep auto-reloading both weapons either side of Ex Diris, I can utilize Bait and Switch when I need to use it for boss damage, and that's where this extra damage comes in. So that's the whole reason I'm going about that. And it is an arc grenade launcher too. It is an adaptive, so it fires a little bit slower Rounds per minute is 120. It's a little bit slower. It would be nice if it had the rounds per minute of an Overload or even Prospector. But this had to do. I think it was probably one of the better options out there. There might be some others. I certainly haven't looked into great detail, but might be up to yourself. Now, if you don't want to use Doomsday or you don't want to do Gambit to get that weapon, you've more than likely got an alternative, and that is going to be the Hothead. So this is an arc rocket launcher, quite readily available. I believe you can focus this via Zavala at the tower. I think it drops from Vanguard Ops anyway, but this actually has the ability to drop with Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch as well. I was finding over time that I started out with Doomsday, I would sit behind my barricade, do my damage output, but I found that sort of staying still, especially in higher level activities, you really leave yourself open for damage and getting taken down quite quickly. Using the Hothead, whilst you don't quite get as much damage out, and it's a small amount different, and you don't get some of the perks from the artifact, it does keep you alive a little bit better. So it's a bit of a trade-off for survivability, for damage, really up to yourself. But I would recommend maybe choosing Doomsday to start with, see how you go with that. And then if you find it's maybe a little bit too slow or you're sort of dying because you have to stay still for a while, it's really hard to sort of shoot that Doomsday while you're moving around. You might want to opt for this. Just a suggestion. Right. I think the big part of the build was the weapons and just being able to get something that's going to support Ex Diris in a really good way. So we're going to go through the subclass quite quickly. I'm not really going to hang around for too much. I'll have the information on the screen if you'd like to pause it, but we'll get through this so we can move into the armor side of things. And the artifact, I should say. So in terms of our abilities on our subclass, we're using Rally Barricade. I'm using Strafe Lift along with the Shoulder Charge, so Seismic Strike for our melee, and that is used purely just as a movement tool, gap closer if I need it, or just to get out of it, maybe get a little bit of an extended jump. Our grenade is going to be the Lightning Grenade because we'll be using the Aspect Touch of Thunder. So that's going to give us 2 Lightning Grenades. It'll give us 5 stacks of Bolt Charge every time it activates. And that is going to be very beneficial for our arc weapons. Storm's Keep, whilst we're barricaded or behind a rally barricade, that is going to give us Bolt Charge accumulating whilst we stand behind it, and that is going to be perfect for our arc arsenal, getting our lightning bolts coming down at the same time as hitting with our arc moths. Battlefield is just going to light up with lightning damage. In terms of the fragments, so let's go through each fragment here. So our first one we've got to go through, it's going to be the Spark of Discharge. Arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace, and that is going to be crucial for our artifact. We're going to go into that a little bit more. Alongside, collecting an ionic trace grants you a stack of Bolt Charge. So we're getting increased Bolt Charge from our grenade. Storm's Keep will generate it naturally as we stand behind it. Then we'll get a stack every time we collect ionic trace. Next one is going to be Spark of Beacons. While you are amplified, your arc special or heavy ammo weapon final blows create a blinding explosion. Now, what's good about beacons is arc special weapons. So Ex Diris being the arc special, obviously we'll be using arc heavy either by Doomsday or Hothead. But yeah, while you are amplified, weapon final blows with these weapons create a blinding explosion. Now, Ex Diris will already on kill amplify you when you get a kill. If you've got the catalyst, I should say, you need the catalyst to get amplified on kill. Outside of that, if you get 3 rapid kills with an arc weapon, that'll make you amplified as well. So it's not too much to get yourself amplified. But yeah, a blinding explosion. Now, the blinding explosion, that'll work really nice with the artifact too. So we'll get some more damage output there. Our next fragment is going to be Spark of Frequency. Now, we're not looking at it for the first paragraph there. So the melee hit, we're not too fussed about that. It's the second paragraph. While amplified, the effects are increased and you gain increased stacks of Bolt Charge from all sources. So that means Storm's Keep is going to generate a little bit more quicker. Our Touch of Thunder is going to generate more Bolt Charge when Lightning Strike activates, and obviously alongside the other areas that we're working with the build. So really, really handy to have. I have frequently, no pun intended for frequency, misunderstood how that sort of works. I thought that sort of tied in with the melee hit, but it is its own buff. So it's sort of 2 things to Spark of Frequency. And the last perk that we're going to have for our fragment is going to be Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you're amplified creates an orb of power. Now, you've probably seen in the footage in the background, we're generating tons of orbs. Now, that's working with our armor set, but because we're getting so many kills because there's so many enemies grouped up. Once we hit an enemy with a couple of Ex Diris blasts, you get those rapid kills, get an orb of power. So it works really nicely on this build. Now, next up, we're going to have the artifact. Just before we jump into the armor mods and the armor set, we're using this Slayer Baron Apothecary Satchel for this one. So it might seem a little bit unconventional. It does have some really good options. Total Carnage, when we hit a finisher on a like an orange bar enemy, not red bar, that will give us our 100% health back. So it instantly comes back as soon as you trigger the finisher. So it's like an instant recharge on your health. Really good to have, and great for survivability. Get in a pinch, just hit the finisher button, get your health back on a strong target, and try and get yourself into a safer spot. Trace Evidence will be a really good way of generating armor charge as well. Curative Orbs, when we essentially break shields on enemies, that'll generate an orb power, but start our healing properties as well. Weaken Clear, so we're running grenade launchers. Weaken Clear when we hit bosses, champions, or break shields. That will weaken these targets. That'll leave them open for 15% more damage to that enemy. Debilitating Wave, when we hit a finisher, it's going to blind opponents with a blinding explosion once that enemy is finished. Kinetic Impacts, which is a really, really good one to have. It's essentially kinetic tremors for grenade launchers with Ex Diris. Generally procs off 1-2 hits on big enemies, but 1 or 2 hits, it's awesome to have. Really good damage and really good ways to sort of manage enemies as well. Arc Compounding, arc damage does do more damage to enemies that are affected by blind. So Ex Diris generates blind after final kills. So that's a bit of a no-brainer. But again, with our fragments in our subclass, that's giving us the ability to blind as well using our heavy weapon. And again, it's just giving us more sort of continuity and synergy between our energy weapons, our heavy weapons, and the overall subclass. So we'll finish up with our armor set bonuses and armor mods. Let's look at the set bonuses first. So the first we have is Crystocrene, so our 2-piece resupply. Gives us additional ammo progress and an orb of power on our next final blow after we've left combat. So after we've left combat for a moderate duration, you'll be able to get those little perks. And it does happen quite often. So it is a really good 2-piece, very, very strong 2-piece. The other side of the coin is our damage. So 7th Serath. Final blows with area of effect damage. So our grenade launchers are giving area of effect damage. They grant us Warmind charges. Now, I've used 7th Serath for quite a few different builds, but it is a very volatile and very powerful set bonus, even just the 2-piece, because each stack of Warmind charge increases your weapons and your grenade stats. Alright, so we're just going to go over the mods quickly for our armor. So you can see on the helm, triple harmonic siphon for orb generation. Our gauntlets, we've got some speed loaders just in case we need it for our heavy weapon. I've also got the harmonic handling mod there too, just to switch our arc weapons out quicker. Our chest piece, we're going to have a resistance mod with 2 ammo generation, but you can swap out 1 ammo generation for maybe an area of effect resistance or perhaps a elemental damage resistance of your choosing. Our legs, we've got the better already, so when we pick up an orb of power, that's going to heal us instantly and take us back up to full health. Got Arc Scavenger, just so we're picking up a little bit more reserves when we pick up a brick, and then 1 Arc Weapon Surge as well, because we'll be generating lots of armor charge too, so we might as well take advantage of that. The other side of generating lots of armor charge is so we can use it for our class font, just to have as close to 100 as we can. Our overshield, when we defeat an enemy using a finisher, that's going to generate an overshield as well. And then our special finisher, so when we finish an opponent, we consume our armor charge 3 of, and that will generate a green brick. So just so you've got the ammo generation there, sometimes you might find that you'll run out a little bit more because you just go a little bit gung-ho, but that's an easy way to counter that. Alright guys, well that's going to be the video for today, so thank you very much for tuning in. Now I did mention in a community post earlier today that I was going to put some information regarding a prospector build. Now I have left a dim link for that below. It's more aimed at surrounding just the prospector itself, but if you want to get some more info about that, try that link, let me know your thoughts on that one. I'll probably make a video about it later down the track when I've sort of got something complete, but this is sort of like a work in progress. But if you did like the Ex Diris one for today, make sure you leave a like. there's some feedback there, or maybe some stuff you would have done differently, let me know. I think we've got a great community happening that everyone sort of helps each other out with some answers. And I have seen a lot of new faces where they essentially put some knowledge drops down, which is really great to see. So it's really nice to see people helping each other out. Just on another note, as you can see in the background here, we're going pretty nicely through this -50, and boom, error coded. So I got the guitar. You can see me just completely stunned. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I really don't know. Are you guys getting error codes much? I got bird a few times, but I haven't had guitar in a long time. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.